Hey you witches, how you doing today? We are back with another video, and today I want to do, it's almost like a part 2 on a video I made about a month ago called The Importance of Being a Well-Read Witch. And a lot of it in that one boiled down to being, building a more empathetic community for us all. And I want to talk a little bit more today about sort of how it can impact your personal practice and some more concrete suggestions of, like, if you want to read outside your tradition, what exactly am I talking about? You know, where can you go to look for information? So for those of you who are new around here, my name is Taya. Welcome to the channel. We talk about all things witchcraft, and for those of you who are returning viewers, maybe coming in from another video, welcome back. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. All of you, please consider subscribing. It's a really great way to help us build the channel. So, again, importance of being a well-read witch, reading outside of your tradition. It all has really come about because of the studies I'm doing with the Red Thread Academy and Lorelei Black, and we have to do a number of book reports throughout our first year, and about 50% of them are reading outside tradition. So there's one about reading about, like, specifically about a traditional witchcraft in general, a specific traditional witchcraft tradition. And then the other two are about reading another craft tradition, and then another one about reading about a general witchcraft book. And it really just got me thinking as I'm reading these books about, like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I did this, especially the ones outside my tradition. And I want to talk a little bit about why. So obviously, it's going to expand your knowledge, right? You're going to be reading about things that you haven't necessarily touched on before. And what happens is when you expand your knowledge, you're really able to understand the nuance of your own practice better. And you can dissect the witchcraft books that you are reading with a more critical eye to A, understanding the influences on your practice, and B, understanding the roots of your practice. So when I say understanding influences, it's like, again, I talked about this in the other video, but that idea that I meet so many people who say they're not Wiccan, and yet they're like, well, I cast my circle, and then we have cakes and ale, and da-da-da-da-da, and I'm like, dude, that's Wicca 101. But they don't understand that because they haven't really read broadly through and about Wicca. They just kind of read a little bit and went, this isn't for me, and then started reading general witchcraft books that were very influenced by Wicca and didn't even realize it. And then about finding your roots. My best example is one of the books I chose to read for school was about Druidry. And I just thought, oh, that would be interesting, right? Now, I knew that the practice that I'm learning about is Celtic influenced. I wouldn't say it is Celtic, but it's Celtic influenced. But when I read the Druidry book, and Druidry is a Celtic practice, I was, like, sort of surprised by how much actually translated back to the tradition that I'm studying. And then when I look at the links within Druidry to, you know, the bits that I did know from my own practice, those bits to the other, like, parts of Druidry, I was drawing all these parallels, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, my mind is blowing about how much I've just learned about my own practice while reading about a completely different tradition. So again, it's just important to read outside your own tradition. So what am I meaning by that? So first of all, whatever witchcraft tradition you're a part of, read other traditions that are related. So, like, I'm into traditional witchcraft, so reading about the Clan of Tubal Cain, Roebuck, 1734, Fairy, or Forest Edge, the new book by Christine Grace, Witch at the Forest Edge, right? She's talking about her tradition of traditional witchcraft. And I start seeing all these similarities between traditional witchcraft practices and differences. If you're Wiccan, read about Gardnerian, Alexandrian, Dianic Wicca, right? There's all these different traditions of Wicca. So first of all, read outside your very particular tradition with other traditions. Then look at other pagan traditions or pagan crafts. So, like, Druidry, Asatru. If you're Wiccan, read about Tradcraft. If you're Tradcraft, read about Wicca. Reconstructionism. There's all sorts of different, right, other pagan traditions you can read from. Then you can get into sort of what I call the more like mythological practices, which are still fall under that pagan traditions, but Greek, Roman, Egyptian, Norse, Celtic, right? You have vast mythologies that you can explore and find links between. So again, right? Look at those mythological sort of informations. Then look at other occult practices like Thelema, Kabbalah, Hermetism, alchemy, Freemasonry, all those like grimoire traditions. Again, you're going to see some of those ceremonial magic influences maybe in your practice, and understand a little bit more of the roots of where it's coming from. And then finally, look at other religious systems like Buddhism, Hinduism, the Abrahamic faiths like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and Catholicism. Catholicism has a huge crossover with folk magic. And once you start sort of reading broadly outside of your particular tradition, you're going to start finding all of these influences, similarities, roots to your own practice, which make your own practice stronger. So I hope that sort of encourages everybody to sort of start looking outside of their own tradition, because it's really easy, right? To be like, well, I'm into traditional witchcraft, so I read traditional witchcraft books. And again, it's important to get outside of that. It's important to read those traditional witchcraft books, but it's also important to read about all these other facets that bring influence and roots to our own practice. So that was just a little 2.0 on the importance of being a well-read witch that I just feel like I kind of didn't touch on in that first video. I sort of missed a little bit. So hopefully that brings us up to speed. Yeah, are you a well-read witch? Tell me, what is your tradition, and what have you found helpful to read about? Like I'm talking about, I'm into traditional witchcraft, but it's very helpful to read about druidry for me. I'd love to know about the sort of links and correlations you've made in your own practice. So leave us a comment, let us know. And otherwise, yeah, that's our video for today. We will catch you in the next one. Thanks so much, guys. Mwah. See you later.